Hi, everybody. The meeting technically cannot even start officially until 3 minutes from now, but it'll probably be more like 5 minutes from now. So we've got a lot of gifts. And once again, I arrived without a pen.
Oh, I grabbed a pen and
He's got pencils. It's cool.
I don't want to be committed.
Okay.
Changing.
It is an agenda. I'm a room full of people. By the way.
Excellent.
Some people I haven't seen in years. Hi, Sarah. Oh, you're muted.
Hi, how are you?
I'm fine. I actually saw you walking across the street one day
Did
when
you?
we were leaving. Yeah, we were leaving Truffle Brothers quite late and driving in the wrong direction. I don't remember why. And I saw you walking across the street.
Well, still here.
Yeah, so am I. So is Colleen. We're all still here,
Still here.
which
still
is
hanging in.
amazing, actually.
I know, right? Sonia and I
Yeah.
are going on 25 years here, I think.
Oh my God.
I
Well,
know.
I guess I don't necessarily want to say how long I have been here.
Well, and Sonia was raised in the not too far, so
Right.
there you are, Sonia. Are we in different rooms?
We're in different rooms.
Okay, so although it is 7 o'clock, I'm gonna wait another couple of minutes, like 3 minutes, because people seem to be piling into the Zoom room. So I just want to make sure that I'm saying stuff once.
Okay.
And we're gonna try, Colleen and I, and anyone else who's here, are gonna try to remember to speak to the television, i.e. the Zoom room. And not just among ourselves. Hi, Teresa. I'm okay. We have a full house.
Oh my gosh, look at that.
Definitely full house.
Right before I check.
You know, the time goes very slowly when we're watching it, but 2 more minutes. Are you cold? Yeah. That's what they say. I was cold and now I'm warm.
How are you? Wow, thank you. How are you? Okay. Glad to hear from Steve. That's the next step.
It's the next step. Okay. I know I said 7:03. I'll just. So we will need to remember to serenade so big, because this transcript is going to have to be pretty official. Okay,
Hello.
it is 7:03, so I, like promised, I'll start the meeting. My name is Laura Myers, and this is the December 3rd, 2025 meeting of the UNNC Planning and Zoning Committee. I'm going to share the screen. Make sure I share the screen with our agenda. And we'll go through that. So there's a lot of people here in the room today who I haven't seen at one of our meetings, or at least in a long time. So we'll go through some of the kind of the rules of how the meeting goes. So on the agenda, welcome and call to order. That's what I'm doing. And then review of the UNNC standing rules for committee stakeholder voting participation. So UNNC is a little unique among neighborhood councils in that while we do officially appoint chairs or co-chairs of committees, we encourage robust community participation in those committee meetings. So stakeholders are allowed to not just discuss, participate equally among, among us all, but also can make a motion and may vote. So the question is, who is a stakeholder? And the city council has established those rules. The stakeholder is anyone who lives in, works in, attends school, is the parent of a child who attends school, worships at a church, and owns a business within, these are all commas, and or participates in a nonprofit 501c3, so charitable nonprofit organization, which has a brick and mortar address within the boundaries of UNNC. So physically, all of these things are within the boundaries of UNNC. So what we do next is we do full introductions, but before we do that, let me just quickly go through the rest of the agenda so I can take this off the screen. So tonight, after we do the stakeholder affirmation, we'll have general public comments on items not on tonight's agenda. And Caesar, I know you're here. We're going to put your item under 5, old business. And then, so don't bring it up under public comment, please. And then item 3 is case number EAR 2025-3866. AHVHCA at 1638 Bronson. We'll have a presentation and then discussion. Number 4 is objective design standards for historic properties and districts. We have a draft letter to review regarding that. And then we have some follow-up to previous cases, to anything that's appeared in the city's notification system and or old business. So there's a couple of things we already know, but there may be some other things. So that is our agenda. I'm going to stop the share and start the fun thing of everybody introduces themselves and tell us whether or not you are a stakeholder. So my name is Laura Myers, and I am a stakeholder to UNNC. I live in Vista. We'll go Colleen.
Hi, I'm Colleen. I live in Jefferson Park, so I'm a stakeholder and intend to vote.
Hi, everybody. I'm Teresa Masonette. I'm a resident of West Adams Avenues. I'm also the chairperson of the tree committee for the UNNC, and As a stakeholder, I will vote if something comes up.
You're up. Just say you were.
Hi, everybody. Jackson, I'm a resident of Arlington.
Okay. And so I'm gonna go in the order I see people up on the Zoom screen, which may not be the order you all see people. Start with Sarah. And you can all unmute so we can do this quickly.
Hi, my name is Sarah and I'm a stakeholder. I live on Bronson Avenue. And Laura, am I supposed to say if I'm gonna vote?
Well, we don't know what we're
Yeah,
voting
I
on,
don't, but yes, I'm a stakeholder. I
but
live
you
on
could
Bronson.
vote. Okay.
Thank-
Sonia,
Hi, I'm Sonia Camacho and I live on Bronson Avenue and I am a stakeholder.
Steve Peckman,
I'm Steve Peckman. I live in Jefferson Park. I'm a stakeholder and I will vote.
Rachel,
Hi, I'm Rachel Klimka. I live on Bronson Avenue in Arlington Heights. I'm a stakeholder and I intend to vote.
Jennifer,
Hi, I live on Bronson Avenue. I live in Arlington Heights. I'm a stakeholder and I intend to vote.
okay, Young Summers,
I am from Crenshaw in Jefferson area, so I guess I'm not a stakeholder.
correct, but you're welcome to participate in discussions. Thank you. Caesar,
Hi, I'm Caesar. I live in Jefferson Park. I am a stakeholder and I plan to vote. I'm also the chair for Park and Recs if you guys want to join.
Suzanne,
Hi, I'm Suzanne Zerflu, and I am a stakeholder. I live on Bronson Avenue, and I will vote. And then I have my husband.
Hi, I'm Daryl Copeland. I'm a stakeholder. I live on Bronson Avenue and I plan to vote.
okay, and I think I see Jacqueline popping head up and hi. Oh,
Are you looking for me?
yes, hi Jackie, how are you?
I am good, Laura. How are you and everyone? And
Fine.
I'm a neighborhood adjacent, interested in the outcome. I
Thank
will
you.
not vote.
Thank you. Tamala,
Hi, my name is Tamala Choma. I live in Arlington Heights. I'm a stakeholder and I intend to vote. I am also driving, so there may be a delayed response if you call on me at certain times.
okay, thank you, and please drive carefully while on Zoom. Marina,
I'm Marina Maves. I live in Jefferson Park. I'm a stakeholder and I intend to vote.
okay, Audrey,
Hi, I'm Audrey with JDJ here. I'm managing the entitlement process for the 1638 Bronson.
thank you for coming. Guy,
My name is Guy. I live on Bronson and I intend to vote.
I miss Jennifer Horton. Oh, I had already.
Oh, you did?
She did. She was fast.
Oh, okay.
Aaron,
Hi, I'm Aaron Broomer. I'm the architect for 1638 Bronze.
okay.
And I'll do the
Rosie.
I'll do the presentation when it comes to the project.
Okay, and I will make you a co-host when that.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Rosie.
Hi, my name is Rosie Brown. I live in Jefferson Park and I plan to vote.
Okay, and Gwen. Gwen.
Hey, Donna.
Oh, I missed Donna. Donna?
Yes, sorry. Donna Jones, West Adams Avenue. I am a stakeholder and I will vote.
Okay, and then Gwen Goldblum.
Yes, I am a stakeholder. I live on Bronson and I will vote.
Okay, so there may be other people who join us and we won't go through this again, but when it comes time to voting, we'll do a double check. Okay, so the next item is general public comments on items not on tonight's agenda. A quick announcement regarding the Century Liquor Store.
Would that be under number 5?
If we're going to have a long discussion, it should be under number 5. I was just going to say a decision is in on a on a plan approval on a liquor store in Jefferson Park. But as it's just been pointed out to me, we can discuss that under old business. Is there any other general public comment
I don't know if it's gonna be me or Donna, but next Wednesday, the South Seas House is having its or the West Adams Avenues are having our last meeting. We will be celebrating Jeff Camp, who is a senior deputy with the CD10. So Donna, do you want to add anything else to that?
I do. if
Oh,
she
you do?
doesn't.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah,
go ahead.
so UNNC is voting tomorrow night on whether or not we're buying that cake. And we're asking everybody who comes, and everyone's invited, because Jeff was the longtime president of UNNC as well. But we're not asking you to bring him a present, we're asking you to bring an unwrapped toy. And that is for the South Seas House Holiday Winter Fest on December 20th. So we're giving away unwrapped toys. So everyone's welcome. And bring a toy. Steve.
Where is Jeff going?
Oh my gosh, Oklahoma.
Thank you.
Yeah, anybody else? Okay, moving on. The next item, and let me make Aaron a co-host. The next item is the proposed project at 1638 South Bronson Avenue. This is going to be a presentation and review of a new design for this proposed, and we've, in the community, we have talked about this already, but the proposed 5-story, 42 feet high, that might not be the accurate number, 36 unit, also might not be still the true number. I'm going to let Aaron do this.
Sure.
Because I don't know. So Aaron, there have been a couple of community kind of meetings. So people are I don't know how many people here in the Zoom room are familiar with the original proposal. I know the design's a little different, but if you can talk about what the project is, because there's probably people here who don't know anything about it. Yeah. And then share the design.
Okay, no problem. So first of all, thanks for all your time. I really appreciate it. Glad to be presenting to you. I'll do a quick kind of overview of the project, and we'll take a look at the design. I did redesign it. Originally, it had a pretty modern exterior, and there was a lot of pushback on it, which was completely unintentional on my part. Like, I didn't kind of anticipate that, but we've redesigned it on the exterior. And I just want to say, in general, like, we're here to like kind of work with you guys to work on the exterior design to make it amenable to the neighbors. We're not trying to be we're not trying to make waves or ruffle feathers or do anything that upsets people at all. Okay, now I'm sure that I'm probably getting ahead, but I know that the height, the lack of parking, the density, and a lot of the basic things of the building are probably going to be pretty objectionable to people. So we can discuss that, but what I'm really here to do is just kind of explain the project and get design feedback on the exterior, because I want to work on that with you guys to make it better and something that you guys are happy with. Okay. All right. So to explain the project, for those of you who might know, there was a law called ED1 when Karen Bass kind of took office. One of the first things that she did is she passed kind of an executive directive called ED1, which basically said if you're doing a 100% affordable project, that it would speed up the process with the city. There would be a lot less kind of red tape hoops to jump through and all sorts of stuff. The developer who owns this property, who bought it a little over 4 years ago, wanted to do this as an ED1 project because there was like a big push about a year and a half ago once the ED1 directive was passed to do 100% affordable projects. It allows for a good amount of density and more of a streamlined process. However, this particular site does not qualify for the ED1 because the base density per the zone has to be at least 5 units. Okay, and these two sites, the base density is actually 4 units when you round up. So it doesn't qualify for ED1. But what it does qualify is a state law called AB 2334, okay, which is a state law that says that you can have unlimited density if you provide a 100% affordable building with 80% of your units at very low income, and you can have up to 20% of your units at moderate income. Okay, so to kind of provide the density that the developer needs in order to make this project work, we're utilizing the AB 2334 law to provide the unlimited density. Okay. Also, something that I want everybody to understand is that the site is AB 2097 eligible. Okay, which means that this is a state law that allows, if you're within 1/2 mile of what the state defines as a major transit stop, no parking is required. Okay. Also, under AB 2334, you're allowed a certain number of additional incentives and development waivers. So part of what we're asking for are for some waivers from the CPIO standards that would essentially render the project impossible to build. And I'll go through those now. Okay, so hold on. Okay, so we're doing 100% affordable project, 5-story multifamily building. It's 36 units. Okay, that hasn't changed at all. So that's 27 very low income units, 8 moderate income units, and 1 manager's unit. Okay, so and I know some people on this probably know this, but in case people don't, what does very low and moderate mean? Okay, it means something very specific. So for the very low income, you have to follow the City of LA housing rent schedule 9. Okay. Very low income means 50% of the average median income for LA County. So this rent level for a 1-bedroom is your maximum rent. You can get no more than $1,420 per month for rent on a very low income 1-bedroom unit per Schedule 9. Schedule 6 is a different schedule. This goes towards the moderate units. Okay, moderate is 120% of AMI, and the moderate rent level for a 1-bedroom maximum is $2,202 under the current rent schedule. These get updated every year, but they pretty much stay relatively flat from year to year. There might be a 3% bump from year to year. Sometimes they even go down. It just depends on average median income for LA County. Okay. Now,
Aaron, may I interrupt?
Yes,
This is Laura,
please.
too. One moment.
Yes.
In the original application, which was very incomplete, it was called low income, not very low income. So is
Okay.
very low income now the actual level?
Yeah,
I know-
it's very
I know
low income
it's
is the
updated, but we haven't seen an updated application.
Okay, yeah, got it. Yeah, that might have just been a mistake, like early on, we might have been rushed or filled it out wrong. It is very low income. That's the covenanted rent level for the 27 units is very low. Okay. Now also this gets like when you provide affordable housing, you have to covenant them on the land. So it's a 55-year covenant. So those units have to stay affordable at those rates prescribed by housing department for 55 years. Okay. And it does get administered by the housing department. So there's no games that anybody can play. Like the housing department monitors the rent levels. They control the rent levels. They also control the people that apply for the apartments. This is like legitimate 27 income units will be at very low income and 8 will be at moderate. Okay. And then there also has to be a manager's unit when you have 16 or more units on site. Okay. So some of the additional incentives that we're asking for reductions in side yard setbacks. We're asking for a reduction in the open space requirement. Part of the reason why we're asking for the reduction in the open space requirement is so that we don't have to provide a roof deck. a roof deck is, you know, very expensive to build and also it's somewhat disruptive to neighbors. So that's part of the reason why we're asking for that. And usually with these 100% affordable projects, you're trying to get a lot of density in there. And it's hard to also then therefore on the site provide a lot of common open space without providing a roof deck. Okay. But here, because we have 36 one bedrooms, we're pretty close to being, well, we're close enough that we can provide it both on the ground floor and through balconies for some of the units that we don't have to provide a roof deck. And then some of the other relief that we're asking for is from the CPIO itself, particularly that courtyard requirement. The courtyard requirement is basically creating a situation where the building has to be kind of divided up into two separate buildings, and there's no way to actually make that work and make this a viable project. Okay. Okay, so just the basic site plan. Here's Bronson. Okay. You know, we have a 15-foot front yard setback per zoning, 15-foot rear yard setback per zoning, and then we're asking for a reduction in the side yard setbacks. You've got landscape in the front and along the side, and then you've got your common open space in the rear. Okay. Typical floor just has one bedrooms. All the units are one bedrooms, basically. Okay. And then no roof deck. I'll just go to the rendering. So again, like, let me show you guys a rendering of what we had before. Like the work I do is modern, you know, so that's kind of what I was hired to do, is modernist work. And so this is what we had before, but then obviously it kind of was sticking out like a sore thumb, which is seriously not my intention. So what we did was we kind of picked up on a lot of like kind of the design details that I saw along the block, particularly kind of like these corner details, breaking it up horizontally with, you know, kind of corners with trim and stuff like that, making it a little bit more simple, getting the colors to be muted, like just trying to kind of like make it kind of feel more like it's just in the background and nondescript. Okay. Tasteful, but you know, just trying to fit in a little bit better. So that's the front view. And then this shows you like kind of the side view. You're seeing breaks here because this is where the balconies are for these units. Just an overview. It is a 5-story building, no parking. The height is, hold on, I'll tell you what it is. The height is 55 feet 7. That's to the top of the roof. Okay, the CPIO limits you to 30 feet, but we're asking for a 25-foot height increase, which we're allowed to do under AB 2334. We can actually ask for a much higher height increase if we wanted, but we're just trying to, we just provide 9-foot ceiling heights for the units. And then, you know, that kind of resulted in this height. The units themselves, we're very, very careful to make sure that they work really well. That, you know, a lot of developers, when they build affordable projects, they try to create like these little shoe boxes, but we're not doing that. The developer very much wanted to create really nice units for the tenants. And so these are all really solid 1-bedrooms, you know. They're not big, you know, but they are all legitimate 1-bedrooms with a separate bedroom and living area, washer dryers in the units and so on. So they're actually pretty nice, you know, given how inexpensive they are in terms of their rents. That's it. That's all I have.
So Aaron, there's a lot of requirements. This is Laura speaking again.
Yes.
And everyone who's in this room, we need to say our names because we have an AI transcript and it just says you the president is speaking. You know, I'm talking to the roommates over here.
Sure.
So it will show on the transcript every time that just the host is speaking. So this is Laura speaking. The CPIO has a lot of design requirements, and of course these are shalls. They're not maybe if you feel like it. And I understand that's why you have to ask for relief.
Correct.
But I feel that you haven't asked for relief from all of the different things. And that meaning the list is longer, and I don't know if the list is allowed to be longer under AB 2334. So for example, what the CPIO says, it's like right in the very beginning of these standards, that in order to build a building that's more than 30 feet high, that has to be treated as a discretionary action, number one. And I understand this is 100% affordable, and there's other things, other elements at work here, but the design requirement is any portion of the building above 30 feet also has to have a further setback from the plane, and you're going straight up and down.
That's correct.
Right, so I'm not sure, that's just one example. Is that one of the waivers or incentives you're
It
asking?
is. Yes. That is one of the waivers that we're asking for. So
And is that menu or off menu?
those are off menu incentives, basically. So one was the side elevation, and then one was the side yard setbacks.
Yeah, so the cumulative length of any side elevation above the first floor. So you're talking about now the vertical, because you also have a problem with the horizontal.
That's correct.
And so they're not, it's not the same incentive.
That's correct. They're
Anyway,
different.
I'm getting into the weeds.
Yes.
The problem, I think, for a lot of us in the community is that we spent 3 or 4 years working on this character residential. Well, maybe I'm exaggerating, maybe it was 2 years, but it was a long time. It was a long time.
Oh, yeah,
and
I'm sure.
Meetings. And the reason it was a long time is that the city had placed the community plan updates on hold because there was a lawsuit related to the Hollywood community plan. So while that was playing out, and that was a different lawsuit than perhaps currently, while that was playing out, city had money at the time. They kept the staff in place, and the staff worked lots of extra details into these community plans. And in particular, they invented character residential overlays, which didn't exist before this Arlington Heights plan. So there were numerous community meetings where lots of things were fleshed out. And then the CPIO, or in particular, the character residential overlay for Arlington Heights, this neighborhood, was adopted as part of the zoning. That's what we were told. This is zoning. It's not just a list of standards. The list of standards are objective, they say shall, but it's more than that. It was part of the actual zoning string. So I think the concern isn't necessarily with you alone in this project, but in point of fact, house planning staff on the case processing side is applying the work that was done on the policy side with community input. So, I mean, I just want to draw you a bigger picture. So this is a good example of something very bad coming out of the case processing staff's interpretations. If I'm saying that right. Okay, I am done because I'm not even supposed to be talking, I'm sharing.
Hi,
Denise.
Hi, Erin. Thank you for being here. My name is Denise Dixon. I'm a resident of Bronson Avenue. I'm just going to point out a few things that you said that kind of gives me a bit concerned, but then I'm going to go to the specifics of AB 2334. We don't have any planning people. I thought planning was going to be here. No,
they come when they come, and I thought Hakeem was going to be here.
Yeah, that's
recorded.
That's recorded. Okay, so you started off saying you didn't anticipate pushback from the community, but I'm a little concerned that you kind of would even think that this community wouldn't have any concern about a 5-story building being built on a block with mostly 2-story craftsman homes. So that's a bit concerning. And then there is an error in the plan where it literally says low income. And now you're here saying it's very low income. So that's another concern and lack of detail on the part of this development. So I wonder if this goes forward, and we are here because I would say, at least me, I won't speak for anyone else, we would prefer it not go forward in the way that it is currently designed, even in your redesign. But that aside, I just want to go to some very specific items. As I understand AB 2334, one of the items of AB 2334 that gives you the incentive to request all the incentives and waivers is that this area or that block is considered a very low vehicle travel area, right?
Yeah.
That's one of the reasons that you can ask for some of these on menu incentives. And so I'd like to understand how this particular block that has a school at the end where we get traffic on it all the time was considered a very low vehicle travel area. Right, number one, because I would think that the residents, and there was a lot of us on the call who would dispute that. So we have to figure that out. Also, one of the public benefits for your by right development and this development is that in exchange for these incentives, one of the things that it would have to be is family size units. That's the trade-off, right? You don't have families. I would again argue that a 300 unit apartment is not a family size unit. Also, I'm wondering, and our planning team isn't here, so this is not really a question for you as much as it will be for them, is also when you talk about the city's plan to house LA, one of the incentives were also that there will be an equitable distribution of affordable housing across all neighborhoods. And given the fact that most of these affordable housings, these boxes that are being constructed in South LA, I'm wondering if also the city has done some actual research to determine if these developments are actually being equitably placed throughout the city. So I appreciate you being here, particularly since this is listed as a, what do you call it when you don't have to, minstrel? Is this considered or is it not?
It is not.
Yeah, I would argue this
There's
is,
so many incentives.
yeah, I think.
No, this is not ministerial, and nor is it by right. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
this requires an entitlement. That's why
Okay,
we're
so
going
it's
through this
not
process.
serial, then we should be having a hearing, right? Or no?
I mean, Rose and Audrey can speak to the entitlement process. Like, I don't know if there's a hearing, because it's a little bit different with AB 2334, but they can speak to that.
Yeah,
So-
I'm talking specifically AB 2334, and just one more thing, Laura, and then I'll let him speak. And then you did indicate that you have these off menu incentives more than what's listed in the plan. And so I just wanted to point out that there are more off menu incentives that is in your design that's not on this plan. So
This is Laura speaking again. Karen, is it okay to unshare the screen so
Yeah, of course.
we can have a discussion where people's heads see other people's heads?
Sure, let me stop share. Where's my
Thank you.
thing? Where'd my thing go? Hold on.
I mean, I may have a way to turn it off, but I don't really know what that is.
Just reclaim being a host.
yeah.
I didn't,
No,
I
but
am-
if you do that, then it will stop.
I'm still the host.
Oh, you just allowed him to.
I did made him co-host. So,
There's a stop share button, but it seems to have disappeared on my screen. Give me a second.
okay. Replace current share. I have nothing to share. So now
Oh, there it is. Okay, found it. Got it. Okay, here we go.
Okay. So Denise had 4 questions. I know Audrey was about to jump in and answer a piece of it. Is that right? I know.
Okay, so we're using AB 23.
Audrey is the land use representative.
Yeah. Yeah, so we are using AB 2334 for our base incentive, but we're also using for on-menu incentives and waivers, we're using the citywide incentive program, the CHIP. So this is called expanded administrative review. There could be a hearing, but we don't know yet.
Okay, so this is Laura speaking again. It's very clear that if you didn't have affordable housing on this, then this would require a city planning commission hearing. I mean, it'd be that, there's so many requests for relief from so many aspects of the CPIO that it's not an adjustment, it's an exception, or vice versa, whichever is the more serious of those. This is 100% affordable housing, I recognize that, so it's not clear to me exactly how those two things intersect. But what I am clear on at this point is it doesn't feel at all appropriate. I mean, this just got feel in tummy. What does it feel like? Doesn't feel appropriate to be using multiple different laws. So AB 2334 is for low traffic areas, but AB 2097, which is the one that gives you relief from parking, is for high transit areas. And that it just seems wrong. It may be that planning staff is allowing it, but it just seems that there should be always a clear and objective path, not a, ooh, let's see what helps us fit this in and fits that in. So that's part of the reason the community, I think, is upset. I mean, they're upset about just the sheer volume and mass and height in the middle of their community, but also this, in an era of objective standards, it feels like subjectively, planning staff is saying, oh, try this and this and this for this project, and maybe some others. Okay, true. I know there's gonna be hands in the audience.
Well,
If I haven't seen any hands in the audience. Now I see a hand, but Teresa had said you had some questions. Okay. So I'm gonna do Teresa, then Steve.
Okay, hi, thank you, Laura. It's Teresa Masonette. I have several questions. One, I'd like to know if you could tell us about the relocation and the restoration of the current tenants, what your process is for that. How about you answer these questions as I go along? So
Sure, no problem. So the way that it works is that if the Ellis Act requires that the tenants get relocation fees, but they also get first right of refusal to go back into the new building. So that's how it works with them.
And
sorry, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was just gonna ask, Aaron, is that also overseen by the housing authority?
It is, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you have to go through an Ellis Act process. It's a legal process. Yeah.
Okay, great. Would you agree that there is importance in green space to the quality of life of residents?
Yes, absolutely. And I believe that we're providing them both with the front yard setback as well as the rear yard common open space.
Well, I would disagree because if you've limited the amount of setback and you're not having a roof deck, which I know some people would not want because of noise and other things, but I don't think you have enough open space compared to some of the other developments we've seen come through the neighborhood council. Would you also agree that having trees provide shade, reduces air pollution, and will assist in our climate resilience over time?
Yeah, and we're providing the landscape ordinance requires that we provide 1 tree per 4 units. So we've got 9 trees.
And what size parkway? If you said you reduce the setback?
Well, side yard setbacks, but not the rear yards. The rear yards were following zoning there. That's 15-foot rear, 15-foot front.
Okay, and what type of trees? I'm sorry, I didn't see that.
I'm here. I'll share the landscape plans. I'm
Can
not
you
landscape.
Can you just tell me?
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Hold on. Okay, so what do we got? Hold on. Specified. Hold on. Okay, so you can see these trees back here. Those are the Brisbane box, 24-inch box trees, Brisbane. That's in the rear. And then in the front, got those three. Those are Chatalpas, it looks like.
Okay.
24-inch box.
Right. So yes, they do provide shade over time, the Brisbane box will.
Okay.
As you continue to design these types of buildings, I would like to recommend that you look into native trees as a way to increase our biodiversity, not just in our neighborhood council, but throughout the city. We need an increase in our biodiversity for
100%. Yeah, absolutely. I'll talk with the, I always tell Michael Savage, the landscape architect, I always kind of convey that to him, and he usually provides a lot of native planting species. So I'll take that down as a note. It's something I will discuss with him for sure.
Thank you.
Okay. I see two raised hands, Steve, then Suzanne.
So my questions have to do with the discussion about traffic. Was there a traffic study done?
No, it was not required here.
So actually there was no objective analysis of what the traffic burden is in the neighborhood?
No, there's not, nor was, it's not required for this kind of entitlement. If they wanted a traffic study done.
Okay, but I thought I heard you say that this was a low traffic area.
Well, okay, so I don't determine that, right? So this is determined by the city. So they're basically saying, if you look on Zemus here, I'll share it again.
So the planning department has determined it's a low traffic area?
So the way that, okay, and again, I'm not a city planner, so you're gonna have to talk with them about it to answer questions, but I'll show you. So if you go to Zemus, okay, so the way that it works is like AB 2334 passes, right, at the state level, and then they give a directive to all local municipalities that you have to implement this, right? And AB 2334 says that if you're providing 100% affordable housing project in locations that meet the criteria of a very low vehicle travel area, so the state publishes criteria for this, okay? Then the city of LA, their GIS administrators basically will figure out if, what areas of the city fall under this, okay? And then if it follows that criteria, then you'll see that on Zemus, it says yes, next to AB 2334, it means we qualify. And then I know it's contradictory, but then they also say, well, we're also within a half mile of a major transit stop per their definition. So that means there's a separate law that just says, okay, you don't have to provide parking if you don't want to.
Okay, thank you for that.
But again, this is determined by the city of LA.
Right, I heard you. So thank you for that explanation.
Yes.
So I think it's incumbent upon the community then to talk to planning and DOT about this designation for a high throughput area being designated as low traffic, because there seems to be some kind of error in that analysis.
Well, here's what I would say though. That's kind of like a bit of a red herring, I would say. Okay, because let's say this were not an AB 2334 eligible site. Okay, let's say that this said no. Okay, then if a developer on this site wants to do 100% affordable, they're still going to do 100% affordable under the AHIP program and just ask for incentives. So I would actually say that whether it's called a low vehicle traffic area or not, isn't something that would help you prevent a project like this from being built. Okay, because again, we could still do 100% affordable project through AHIP and ask for the same incentives. We're just doing it under AB 2334 because it's eligible for AB 2334. And this is before, and we started this process before CHIP was even implemented. If we were gonna do it now, we would just do it under CHIP. So,
Okay, this is Laura interjecting again. I
Okay.
think was maybe more recently some sort of traffic study that resulted in the conclusion that there is a high volume of traffic here because they installed this new stoplight at 12th and Venice. And so there's sometimes you have right hands that don't talk to left hands. We have heard from the community, and I have seen it myself. At times of day, not 100% of the time, there's just a huge volume of traffic on Bronson in particular, but also within the neighborhood. And that is in part because of the school. Not that the kids who go to the school drive, but several schools, but it's pickup, buses, all that. Sorry, my phone is ringing. And also the cut through traffic. So we've heard that a lot, and we've heard it over the years, not just because of this. All right. So I do think it's incumbent upon the neighborhood to kind of suss out what the traffic seems and just push the button on the side. Trying. Have so many buttons on the side. Oh, there you go. All right, Suzanne and Rachel.
Hi. Hello. Yeah, I'll back that whole traffic thing. Come here at like 8 o'clock any day of the week, and it will take you a good 15 minutes to get out of our block going north or south. Two things I wanted to talk about. One, I know, Erin, you mentioned that you're a modernist designer, and I don't know if you realized it, but a lot of the housing, obviously, is craftsman around here. And
yes.
the white color really does stand out like a sore thumb.
Okay.
You know, most craftsman palettes, if you take a look at them, have warm neutrals, earth tones. So I would like to just kind of say maybe we go back to the drawing board on the color.
Absolutely. Not a
That's
problem.
just my first comment. The second one, my second comment, and I know you don't have a lot to do with it, but Audrey might. Just curious where they believe 36 to perhaps 72 cars might be parking on our street, because I'm a property owner myself, a rental property owner. A 3-bedroom allows 3 people can live in a 1-bedroom. So with that, that means maybe 2, maybe even 3 people might have a car. So I don't know if you've driven up and down our street anytime. I have a very long driveway, so I don't really have to worry about it, but there's about no room for 36 to 72 cars to be parking on a given night.
Of course. Yeah, I mean, the when you have projects like this that don't provide parking, what ends up happening is and it's impossible to predict, but I do a lot of 100% affordable projects, so this is kind of what I'm seeing, is that when they don't provide parking, the units are less in demand than comparable affordable projects that do provide parking. Okay, so what ends up happening is a lot of the people who are at the low income level, very low income, that have cars, they search for the affordable units that provide parking. A lot of the ones that don't provide parking attract tenants that don't have cars and use public transit. Okay, so again, there's no guarantee of that. And if I were to bet, I would say that, maybe 50% of the units will have tenants that won't have cars, but 50% will, and they're going to be forced to find street parking, and it might have to be blocks away. But that's just kind of the reality of it, But again, you're not gonna find, a family getting a 1-bedroom here that has 4 cars. Like, they're not gonna take a unit here, they're not gonna do it. They're gonna try and find something else, even if that means moving further away from the city.
Okay.
Rachel.
Thank you.
Okay. I have a question about what constitutes a major transit hub. It seems like
Yeah.
everything needs to be within a half a mile from a major transit hub. What major transit hub are we talking about? I'm assuming Midtown Crossing.
It's usually a bus station, like in LA, it's usually a bus. It could be a metro stop, but if it's a bus depot, and then there's very specific criteria for it, which I don't really know offhand. But if you look at the AB 2097 law, it refers to it. It has something to do with like, bus trips every like 10 minutes or something like that during peak travel hours. I
Right.
don't know the specifics, but
And
it's something like that.
I did look at that, and what I'm noticing is that that location, as per this apartment unit, is actually 8/10 of a mile away. It's over the the half a mile that the law stipulates. So I just wanted to throw that out there as well.
Well,
So
I mean,
Ra-
if you question that, then you have to, like, the way to question it is to talk with city planning and say, hey, we think that you measured this, because they use a GIS system, and all it is just somebody drawing circles, and if it intersects with the property, even a slight intersection, even at the slight, like a tiny little corner of the property, if that circle intersects us, as
I
AB
get it. So I
2097
looked at all of that and it doesn't intersect the property. And by, when you look at it even from like a Google map perspective, it's quite a bit farther than a half a mile.
Yeah, then you should take
So
it up
I
with
think
city
that's also
planning.
something we might need to look into as well.
Yeah, go for it.
In terms of the parking situation.
Yeah, go for it.
This is Laura again. Rachel, are you measuring from the Midtown Bus Depot?
Yes.
So the thing, and so you're right, it's certainly more than half a mile from there. That is a major transit, whatever.
Yeah.
The question for planning would also be how/why are they identifying? Because I think they're identifying the bus intersection at Crenshaw and Venice as having the right amount of bus traffic. And I see plenty of bus traffic on Venice, but I do not see that level of bus traffic on Crenshaw.
Correct. I don't think that what I can see from looking at the times and all the things, I don't think that constitutes as a major transit hub.
Pauline has her hand up in this room, and she also has been doing some studying on this very topic.
Yes. I'll be very, very quick. It's actually not a question. And Laura's right. I was on Metro's website today. Metro actually has a PDF map that shows the high frequency routes. High frequency is not necessarily equivalent to what would qualify for AB 2097, but it's a good place to start. It's not the depot itself, it's the transit stop. I would suspect that the 210 bus on Crenshaw does qualify. I don't know for sure, but that's a resource to check. And as Erin was showing us earlier, planning does set all this information out in ZMIS. So if we look at the address under ZMIS, it'll have a little section for AB 2097 and it'll say yes or no. I'm not saying it's infallible, could be wrong, but that's undoubtedly what the design team is looking at, is whether it says yes or no qualifies for AB 2097.
Exactly.
Right. And
And they do make mistakes, that I've seen that happen before. It's pretty rare, but I have seen it happen.
Right, because I have seen most often this is Laura speaking, when I have looked on ZMIS for parcels, they're usually either 2097 or AB 2334. I've seldom, if ever, seen it both the way this one is showing. So, I mean, it's just unusual. You had a question.
Yeah, hi.
Say your name.
Sure. My name is Susan Rodriguez. I live at 1707 Bronson. Your construction project is going to severely disrupt my peace of mind, and it's going to severely interfere with my law practice and my spouse's psychotherapy practice, where we try to work from home. So I am on a fact-finding mission right now to see what is what can be done to stop this project. Period. So just so that you know where I'm coming from,
Sure.
because do
I
not.
totally understand.
No, you don't, unless you've had a construction project, your construction project is kitty corner from where I live. And I didn't pay a lot of money to move into that Craftsman home to have to deal with the nuisance that's going to be caused. And there is a lot of traffic, a lot of speeding, a lot of unsafe drivers there all hours of the night. It's not just rush hour. It's really, really difficult to go out of, because of the pass through traffic. It's really difficult to leave out of Venice as it is. One question that I have is you brought up the relocation of tenants and who have the right of first refusal to come back. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, so what's the current occupancy of the units?
I don't know. I don't know.
Okay, so how many people live in what do we have, 6 units? 4 units. How many people are living in 1 unit?
I don't know. That's a landlord question. Yeah, I don't know.
Okay, so let's just say you have a family in one of those units of maybe 3 or 4 people. Let's just say 4 people.
Okay.
Your unit that you're designing is 300 square feet.
Well, some of them are more in the 450 range and larger. It ranges.
Okay. Let's say it's 500 square feet. How do you expect a family of 4 realistically to agree to come back to a 500, 400, 50 square unit place that has no parking?
They wouldn't.
Right. So what's the lawsuit?
But they get compensated. They get compensated quite a bit under the new Ellis Act,
So
update.
you're just placing low-income people
Right.
to another place where there's maybe they're gonna lose benefit of like rent control. Do you understand the insanity of this or no?
Well, the way I look at it, and I'm not the developer, I'm just the architect, but the way I look at it is that if you have 4 existing low-income units, we're creating 36.
It's fallacy because each unit is going to be what, $1,500 a unit?
At most.
So, at most? Okay, so you're gonna have a family of 4 living in one of the units at whatever amount they're
Doubtful.
gonna spend. Right. And they're not gonna be able to move back in. So this project is
Right, but they're gonna get compensated. Well, probably if it's a family of 4, I think that it's like over $100,000 that the developer has to give them to relocate.
Who's the developer?
No, she's the land user.
Okay. Who's the
She's Mina Midlife LLC.
Pardon me? Okay.
Mina, MENA, Mid City LLC. Is that correct, Darren?
Yeah, it's an LLC. That's correct.
Is it? And can I ask, I'm sorry, Laura, just real quickly, this is Denise again. Is this developer's first development from what I could tell, or can you know a little bit more?
No, I honestly don't know. He owns other properties. I don't know if he's done any ground up stuff other than this. I have no idea.
Okay, Audrey has her hand up and Laura's really wanting to say something, but let's let Audrey do so first.
Hi, yeah, to answer your question, so before the relocation thing, it's under the Resident Protection Ordinance and with Ellis Act. Right now there are 4 tenants for each unit in the building, in I think 4 buildings right now. So there are no family of 4. If there was, then it's going to be replaced with 4 bedrooms. But right now, each unit has only 1 bedroom. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. This is Laura speaking. My understanding, however, is that under AB 2334, it requires the actual replacement of the 4 demolished units. And I'm going to say e.g., each of those units currently is 620 square feet, and I don't see 4 620 square.
So the way that it works, it's not under the state, it's not under AB 2334. The affordable replacement law is SB 9. Okay. It used to be SB 330, but now it's called SB 8, SB 8. It was SB 330, but now it's called SB 8. What that law requires is that any existing units that are, rent controlled or considered to be affordable, have to be replaced on a like-for-like basis in the new building per bedroom count, not per size. Okay, so it has nothing to do with square footage. It's just the bedroom count. So if the assessor shows that you've got 4 existing 1-bedrooms, you have to provide 4 new affordable replacement 1-bedrooms in the new building.
Right, but that's using yet another law. So I'm back to Laura speaking to that problem of picking, it's like a cafeteria of laws and picking a different law. I'm not mad at you, Aaron, I'm just saying.
Well, but I disagree with how you're characterizing it, because the SB 8 is, we're not choosing that law, right? That's the housing department's directive per the state to make sure that existing housing gets replaced in new developments.
Yes, I understand.
That's how they do it.
Within AB 2334, I don't know which one came first, chicken or egg. I do not know which piece of legislation supersedes the other, but within
SB 8. Yeah, it's SB 8 for sure.
Before it does require the same square footage. So that would be again the frustration. So again, this is here in our Zoom room, we have people of differing opinions about a lot of topics, right? I am personally fervent about not losing our existing neighbors. Saying that it's done legally, I understand that. Saying that they get money, I understand that. But we're losing our neighbors, and that's part of the character of our community. It's the who lives here. And inevitably on these projects, all these projects, not just in 100% affordable project, the people who lived in the place, who supposedly they're building one version or another of replacement housing, you just know they're never going to be able to come back because either A, they've long since found someplace 2 counties away because that's all they can afford, or B, they're not in the system, so they cannot qualify for these new apartments because these new apartments are for people within the system, not people who just happen to be living in naturally affordable housing. And then C, it is not, as you've already pointed out, if it's just the bedroom count and not the square footage, it's not the equivalent. It's not really fairly replacement housing. So, I am really supportive of affordable housing, just so you're clear. I'm pleased to learn that it's very low income and not low income, because that was one of my chief concerns on this. That may not make the neighbors happy with me, but I'm just personally pleased with that. But it's very distressing that to everybody to not be able to figure out which law applies when. It should just be a clear path and not a figure it out. Okay, Sarah has her hand up again. And I am also gonna start saying it's 8:05. So we need to start tracking time. Sarah.
I also am a big proponent of affordable housing. The city needs it. I have long since come to a peace with the fact that I'll have a huge building behind me on Crenshaw. I have to say as well that I am not a fan of this in the middle of this neighborhood. But my question is, for the AB 2334, I know one of the strict requirements is that it's a low volume traffic area. So Laura, maybe this is a question from you or Audrey. So who do we request that documentation from? And I know Aaron had said, well, if it's not on this one, we could go with CHIP, but if it's CHIP, then we can request a formal hearing. So again, I'm with you on that too, Laura. It's like, okay, so if we're in this one, then I'd like documentation from the city planning maybe that says we're in a low traffic area, since that is a strict.
Yeah, city planning, that you
rule.
want to go to the city planner.
Okay. And then if we're like, oh, if that doesn't work, we're gonna go with chip, which is kind of what you said, Aaron. Like, well, if it's
Well,
not
no, I said that if this were not AB 2334
be chip.
eligible, we would just do it under AHIP.
Right. If we can't do this one, we'll do this one. Well, with the other one, we can request a hearing. Am I correct on that?
Well, no, not necessarily. No, it depends on the incentives in the process with AHIP, but there are different levels of AHIP where if you do a bunch of on menu incentives and blah blah blah, it's again kind of ministerial, you know.
Okay.
So it wouldn't necessarily mean that there would be a public hearing there.
Okay.
And just so you know, the part of the appeal of CHIP and AHIP. Okay, so CHIP is the citywide housing incentive program. That's the overarching law. The AHIP is the 100% affordable subsection of that law. The entire CHIP thing is intended to streamline the process and make it a lot easier to build housing. So it's actually it probably wouldn't give you any benefit. Like if you were to be like, no, these guys need to apply under AHIP, it probably won't do any good. You know, like it's probably still going to be the same process.
Okay. And they're not willing to build multi-bedrooms since we're across the street from a middle school?
Well, I mean, look, if you do that, it'll change the density, right? It'll probably reduce the number of units on here. Look, if you guys like just big picture, if at the end of all of this, you guys have a list of recommendations and desires, like put it all down, right? Like all I'm going to do is say, okay, well, I'll bring it to the developers, you know, attention, and we'll consider it. You know, certainly from design point of view, absolutely. Like we're 100% open to whatever you guys suggest. When it comes to like saying, okay, can you provide more 2 bedrooms or 3 bedrooms in this building? That's something I would absolutely present to the developer, but it could mean going from a 36 unit building to a 30 unit building. And I just don't know if that's something that he's going to be willing to do, or if that would pencil or whatever. But it's absolutely worth considering for sure, you know.
All right. And the developer's not here tonight.
He's not. Generally, okay, so you know, I find that when developers go to neighborhood council meetings, it turns into an attack, and then that developer usually gets very offended or defensive, okay? And usually there's nothing productive that comes out of it. So generally, I suggest that developers don't go to these neighborhood council meetings, okay? You know, it's not meant to offend anybody at all. It's just that I've been to so many of these things and I see how they go, that it usually becomes like it puts the developer in a very defensive and intransigent position, you know.
Well, we don't want to offend the developer.
Well,
You know,
but I don't care if you can offend him. It's just that he's going to dig in his heels. He's going to be like, no, I'm not going to do anything then, you know, if that's how I'm going to be treated, you know, so.
Well, we're kind of
Yeah, Jennifer, and then I have a question for Aaron or Audrey. But Jennifer.
Thanks. I've been aware of efforts to preserve bungalow courts, which this is a historic bungalow court, because they are particularly vulnerable to demolition. And these are, I don't know, very historic and Spanish style original bungalow, you know, court. And I was wondering if that would be possibly a reason not to demolish them.
So they're not designated as historically significant by the city, by Office of Historic Resources. So if they were designated as historic, we wouldn't be able to demolish them.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I was looking into that, Jennifer, Laura speaking again, and I went through literally the whole of Survey LA, and it's this little teeny little orphan parcel in the middle of Arlington Heights. And I don't know why, I think when the surveyors, the historians were out, they saw all the craftsman homes to the south and all of the post-war, you know, minimalist, whatever they are, to the north. And then this one unique, small little bungalow court. My question, and I don't know if it's Audrey or Aaron or who knows it, the answer from the team. What is the timeline at the moment?
I can answer that. We're already kind of very far along in the plan check process. I would say that we'll probably be permitted in the late, I would say something around February, March, we'll be close to being permitted.
No, but what's the timeline at the planning department? What do they think?
Yeah, I can't answer that one. Audrey or Rose will have to answer that one.
Right, because this is one way or another, it's a little bit discretionary or a lot.
Oh, yeah.
So that does mean a decision has to be reached. A letter of decision has to be issued.
Correct.
And then there is an appeal period. You know, I mean, in other words, I don't see how you could actually get permits
Right.
without.
Yeah, you have to get the letter of determination in hand in order to get the final city planning clearances on the building permit. So yeah.
Correct. And because this has some degree of discretion, I don't know what degree, it's appealable. I'm not seeing Audrey at the moment.
She's there. She's muted.
Yeah, I'm here. So right now it's.
Yeah, I just want to say, so what is the timeline from the planning department? Have you been told?
No, but usually like I think mid-January.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so okay. And Denise has a question.
Hello, this is Denise again. I just wanted to, first of all, Zinzing, the project is still on hold because of all these concerns that we have. So I just want to point that out.
Yeah.
And then number two, I keep hearing reference to AHIB. And I'm looking at some AHIB requirements. And so this is where we get into playing whack-a-mole. If it's not this, then it's that. Or we're going to hit this, or we're going to try that. And what AHIB says is that these projects have very limited access to your menu of incentives. And it looks like you have selected multiple incentives, of which I think 4 is the maximum in the current ordinance or AB bill that you're using. And it also says that additional public noticing and hearing may be required for the off-menu incentives that you've asked for. So it seems that every AB bill or city requirement or something that is indicated here, there are elements of this application or this plan that goes against that. And so I think that's why this project is on hold and has been on hold for a while. I know that you had some redesigning to do. And again, Aaron, I'm not here to jump on you or Audrey. I'm a little concerned. I thought that our planning team was going to be here. So a lot of the questions that I did have in presenting was for the planning team. So we will have to go another avenue to get them to the table to find out why certain things are checked. Yes, it's not a high traffic area. Are they just rubber stamping some of these things because of, we do have a housing situation, but we do want to incorporate housing into the city in a way that it makes sense. And right now, a 36-unit, 5-story building on Bronson Avenue does not make sense. And it seems that whatever AB bill or whatever city ordinance we look at, it does have some built-in guardrails to make sure that these things make sense. So that's where I am. I don't want to speak for my neighbors. They're on the call because I'm sure they have their own set of concerns. But I will say that we really need to look at this application and this plan with a fine-tooth comb and make sure we're just not throwing up these, properties for developers to make money.
So, and Laura speaking again, I'm concerned when where admittedly a person who has a car may have to park blocks away. Just the idea that might happen is concerning to me, frankly. And I do know from conversations with the council office that there's a strong possibility that this neighborhood would end up with a parking district with this parcel excluded from it. Right.
And that's a cost to that, for the residents. You have to pay for those parking permits.
Well, I think the residents are willing to pay for those parking permits because they already have a parking issue. So the current.
We are in the midst of getting parking.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
so would these 36 residents be eligible for that?
No.
No, I'm saying the existing neighbors
Want.
would have to pay for
Correct.
parking permits.
Correct.
So that's another burden being placed upon
Correct.
them. It's
Correct,
not-
approximately $40 a year, well, $30 a year burden, yes.
So,
So that, but I'm concerned that that y'all know that, and that people might have to park blocks away. I mean, that's a concern to me, because it just feels unfair, but it feels fair on the other hand.
it's not a safe movement.
Yeah, it feels fair to the existing neighbors to be able to secure their parking. It feels unfair to the unsuspecting new people who will have to park blocks away. Because it just doesn't feel neighborly, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
So, do we need a motion now?
Well,
Or are we going to see if they're gonna come back?
So the UNNC board had already authorized that we are allowed to advocate on behalf of the community in meetings that have been held with the planning department and with the council office. And the community, I don't think I've heard anybody tonight say that they've changed their mind and there's not too much traffic and there's plenty of parking. I mean, I haven't heard that. I want to say to the community members that height is something really difficult for us to oppose, because all the state laws, there's no conflict there, give 20 to 30 extra feet to projects when it's 100% affordable. That's kind of in all laws. It's not even on menu. It's part of a density bonus. So I don't think we'll be ever able to say it can't be a tall building, but the rest of it not following the CPIO standards, which are objective, going to get to that tonight, I swear, objective design standards say, and there's shalls. I just think those are going to be things that need to be embedded more into the project. And I also think, we should have discussions ongoing about the size of units, and all that. Some guy has his hand up. And I'm sorry, it is 8:20 and we do have 2 letters on the agenda that we do need to get to and out of here. Okay. But Guy, hello. Oh, you just went mute. Come back.
You're on mute.
There you go.
That's fine. Just get to the stuff then. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I didn't mean to cut you off.
Well, is there a way that it's not low income, that it's high income, so they can only build 2 places and give them parking and make them super nice?
Okay. Well, you're asking a marketplace decision of a developer. Basically.
Well, that's an easy question to answer, honestly, because if you want to do it as a market rate building or just, let's say, a basic density bonus project, the underlying zone is RD2, okay, which only allows for about 4 units by right, okay. So yeah, the other option would be to build like a very low density market rate building, which could be viable if there weren't existing units on the site. The existing units there's 4 existing units. They have to be 4 affordable replacement units in the new building. So let's say we're going to build like a 6-unit market rate building. 4 of those units have to be affordable, and then only 2 could be market rate. So it's just not viable.
Okay, I get it. I got it. Thank you.
Okay. So, well, we have a couple of
turn to come back with some of the recommendations that he's heard from the community.
Well, what I was intending to do is take a set of draft notes to the board tomorrow night, but we're not going to go over them tomorrow night because they're on a consent calendar to move on to executive. So we have a couple of weeks. We don't have to do anything if the time, I just don't understand the timing. Hakeem seemed to think that it's really moving fast.
Okay, so
So,
if that
and-
is the case, then we need to collectively come up with some feedback with them tonight, or, but I can make a motion. Do you want me to?
Did you read the draft letter in the agenda?
Okay.
I can show it now.
Okay.
I feel guilty because I wrote it before we had the meeting. So I can do it.
Well, we don't have to, can't we just come up with another letter? I mean, based on the conversation and then the feedback we heard from the community tonight?
It's not different than the feedback we heard before. But this is not a letter, this is concerns.
And we wanted, is your recommendation that we send this to Hakeem and Heather Hutt? Or what is the?
Okay. What is your recommendation before I do?
I'm gonna put it on Denise or other members of the community who live around Bronson.
And Steve has his hand up, but this is what I thought, you know, these are things that people have talked about for a couple months now, including. And can everybody see the screen? And I apologize to Audrey and team because I did take the notes from various emails, you know,
But what do you want to do with this letter? I guess is what I'm asking, Laura.
Well, this would go to
May I make a suggestion?
yes, sir.
So I thought the letter was fine, but there are things that came up this evening that should absolutely be incorporated that probably aren't there in my recollection. One was there were some design recommendations that I think Aaron, at least in principle, agreed to that should be included. I think there are issues about traffic studies and need to talk to the city planner about things like that. And there were a couple other issues, I don't remember exactly what they were, that require discussion with the city planner. And so part of this letter should be, I believe, asking CD10 to convene a meeting of the community with the city planner and if you want the developer to talk through these things.
Okay, I'm just randomly throwing this in because and
But since it's going to go to the executive committee, I think it gives us an opportunity to incorporate the various items that came up this evening. I think the issue about the cafeteria style selection should be discussed as well to get clarity on that. And I think a city representative should be able to provide that clarity. I appreciate Aaron providing us with his position on it, but I think the city may have the same position or a different position. It'd be important to hear it.
Absolutely.
So that would be my recommendation. If it requires a motion, that's my motion.
I don't, yeah. Okay, so I don't know quite where to insert.
Well, let's not do it now.
Well, the good thing is you don't have to do it now. You're going to present it to the executive committee.
It's on to, so
Okay.
we're all set.
I'm just gonna say design issues. Okay.
Yeah, like colors of the building, native plants or native planting.
There was an issue about just the general design of being more of a craftsman style. There was
Was that really? Because
Yes, several people said that. And I will say, Aaron, I'm gonna just chime in with what Denise said.
Say who you are.
I'm sorry, this is Teresa Mason speaking. I know you said that you were a modernistic or you're a modern, your design style is more on the modern, but when you took a look at the space, I'm sure you saw that there were 100-year-old craftsmen, and then at least these 4 units have more of a Spanish style, and they have a little more considerate. Thank you. Considerate if you had taken that design angle, knowing that you want something to blend in with the community. I mean, you wouldn't have received as much feedback. Yes, people have problems with the density and the height and some of the other things, but at least if it were Spanish or if it was craftsmen, you, you know, wouldn't be in this situation. I love the idea that you're willing to concede to adjusting the color, because yeah, that stark white certainly is out of place. But Laura, how do you, we're going to put together this letter, and then like Steve said, we're gonna reach out and try to have some kind of town hall with our.
Well, what I just wrote is ask CD10 to convene a town hall style meeting with the community, planning department staff, and the development team, which I spelled
I would
wrong.
also try to ask them to include DOT or Public Works.
Okay.
Because when it comes to traffic studies and like, you know, those kinds of infrastructural issues, usually DOT or BOE are the ones that can answer that.
Aaron's absolutely right on that.
Yeah.
So I would recommend that whatever city entities need to be present to address the questions that are outlined in the letter need to be present at the meeting. They need to provide representatives.
Right. And Laura's just gonna say, I hadn't even considered Spanish, replacing Spanish, but I will tell you that at 5 stories, Spanish works best. Because it already, as part of its design, has the different planes. I mean, Craftsman doesn't work very well in 5 stories.
No, not really. Yeah, I agree with what you're saying.
Right. No, okay.
Yeah, I can try something there.
Well, what is the motion?
So
I'm sorry, Steve, what was your motion?
So the motion is to incorporate what was discussed here this evening into a revised letter that would go to the executive committee. And part of that would be to convene, as you said, a town hall meeting with appropriate representatives from city departments that can address all of the concerns in the letter. That meeting would also include representatives from CD10 and the developer.
Okay, thank you. It's not the shareable.
No, right.
Then you're.
Well, I have to hit save first. Sure.
Okay, I'll second that motion. And can we call the vote, Laura?
Yes, so, yes. We can call the vote. The way to vote is using your digital virtual hand. So if you are a stakeholder and you're planning to vote, and if you can't use a digital hand, like if you're in a car driving, then go ahead and wave at me. So all in favor of this motion. One, two, three, 4, 5, 6. I've got Tamala 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Sorry, 13, 14, 15, 16. Okay.
There are a couple.
Yeah, I got the 2. Oh,
No, there's some people who are gonna
17.
vote no, of course.
I know that. Hands down, please. Hands down. Everybody's hand down. Hands are still up, hands down. Okay. All not in favor of the motion, gonna. Then I know she's in favor, she's a yes. Anyone not? in
Sonia
favor?
doesn't know how to lower her hand. She's trying to lower her hand.
Right, and I don't know how to do it for you either.
Okay. They're all done.
Okay. Anybody not in favor? Any abstentions? Okay,
Sorry, I
Well-
abstain.
I'm sorry, are you abstaining, Caesar?
Yeah, Cesar Garcia abstains.
Okay, thank you. Okay. So we need to take 30 minutes on 2 more letters. And for those of you who, it'd be lovely for you to stay because you'll see what we do at planning and zoning. And I want to say again, Aaron and Rose and Audrey, thank you very much. I know, you know, I mean, I talked to Audrey, she knew that there's a lot of opposition and came anyway. So I appreciate that very much. And I'm gonna echo what Aaron said, by the way. It is very difficult for developers to come to these meetings because it does get difficult.
Contentious, yeah.
Contentious. Okay, so Steve,
Well,
I
thank
know.
you for your time. I really
Thank you.
appreciate it.
Well, I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Have a good night, everybody.
Okay, good night. Thank you, Erin.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
So for everybody, we have a letter that Steve and I knocked out with a lot of hard work. And I'm gonna let Steve talk about it while I find it to share.
Objective standards, no.
No, on objective standards.
On objective standards, so this is a meeting that was generated out of our last meeting 2 weeks ago. Before I get started on that, though, I want to say that this previous discussion should point everyone to the importance of communicating with our elected representatives, because these state laws and city ordinances don't come out of anywhere. They come out of elected representatives. It's part of the discussion regarding objective standards as well. And so we need to really think about a consolidated community effort to communicate with people like our Assembly member, Isaac Bryan, our City Council representative, Heather Hutt, and others of our concerns about these laws that are being passed that impact us directly in this community and citywide.
And Laura's interrupting for 1 minute. I agree with everything Steve just said, but by the way, this applies to the Arlington Heights character residential overlay. It's technical, but if you have the stomach for staying, it'd be good for you to stay.
Yes.
So-
This is Susan Rodriguez. If I may, I sent an email to Heather Hutt's office in August, August 21. And within 4 days, they said they would get back to me to schedule a meeting. Never heard from them since. So it's really, really concerning to me because I was looking. So during the meeting, I just sent them another email politely asking for a meeting.
It's important to follow up, but I can't emphasize enough. It's important for the community to organize. I appreciate that you sent CD10 an email, but unless there's real density in terms of population that they represent that are concerned about these issues, they're going to have to prioritize their own work. So my experience is that actually organizing people into groups that can then be represented will go further. I've certainly been, I've been stood up by email as well. So this is about objective design review standards.
Sorry, I'm just pushing you because it's 8:30.
No, I get it. And I want to go eat dinner too. So essentially, this has been an issue with the passing of these statewide bills. They've essentially negated things like historic preservation, overlay zone, HPOZ plans, and other protective plans that we have in the city and districts that provide guidelines and requirements for building projects like we just discussed. Most people who have been involved in public policy development will tell you that you don't want to make these kinds of rules and guidelines that are so black and white that it will not allow for any flexibility and innovation. Unfortunately, we've, as a community and as a city, have agreed with that kind of principle, but the state has now told everybody that these flexible guidelines that promote innovation actually don't do that, and that in order to have rules about what can be built and what cannot, they have to be objective. And there is a definition for objective. I'm not going to get into that. And so that means that all of our rules that we currently have in the city that serve to protect historic areas and other areas have been negated by this new principle of objective rather than subjective. So that's the background. The city is in a bind in terms of protecting historic resources. And I think if we just focus on the requests section of this, we'll be fine. Because there are new laws that have recently been passed and the old laws that we've just been discussing that in order to preserve historic resources and other elements of the city, we need to come up with new objective design review standards before these certain timelines expire, which for this issue is June of 2026. And so the city is well behind the curve on this. San Francisco and other cities have already done this project. And so this letter is to the Office of the Department of City Planning and the Office of Historic Resources, conveying the UNNC's position on the importance of getting these objective design review standards in place, but that they can't be top down. It's imperative that they engage the community on the front end of this project, rather after they've already decided what they're going to do, because the actual expertise resides in the communities, within our neighborhood councils and within community members and community groups. So this letter essentially is asking for the Department of Planning to include communities and neighborhood councils, that we recognize it's an aggressive timeline, so time is of the essence. We need to do it now rather than later. There's a difference between local versus general objective design review standards. San Francisco has, I think, if I read it correctly, tried to do a more general objective standard that applies to the whole city. I think that's going to be difficult for them. They're not quite as diverse in their architecture as Los Angeles, but there's still plenty of diversity in San Francisco. And so one of the things that needs to be discussed is the diversity and of not only the architecture, but the history and the local context of which they're going to be creating these rules. Therefore, it's actually even more imperative that they do wide-ranging consultation and consideration. Finally, penultimately, they've applied for a grant and received it to support this process. The grant should be shared. It's important for the community to understand what are the guidelines that the city is working under, what they've been approved to do through this grant, and how they're spending the money. So we're asking for them to share the grant with us, and actually even better would be to post the grant and all the related grant materials on their website so everyone in the city can see it. Number 4, if you could scroll.
And I do want to interrupt 1 second. And one of the reasons we're asking for this is Laura speaking, is because Council District 10 and I received an email from a planner stating that because the grant application was narrow, they cannot do this work for all of the other kinds of historic districts, only HPOZs, and that sometime in the future, they would get around to doing National Register districts, California Registered, character residential overlay, blah, 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 but there is no future time. The deadline, because it's established in SB 79, is June of 2026. So we want to see what the grant parameters are and why are they saying they can't exceed the parameters. Okay,
right. This is also a government transparency issue.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
100%.
And
So-
just clear, other people have already asked for it, but not received a copy of it.
So number 4 is essentially, if I remember correctly, what Laura just described, which is these, what we're calling orphans, places in the city that aren't under HPOZs, but are important, have historic resource designation by one or another other considering bodies. So those need to be included. So essentially those are the 4 items. I'm happy to try to answer any questions. This objective versus subjective issue has been going on for quite some time. I could tell you that within Jefferson Park, it's led to serious applications for construction, one of which was just discussed at the HPOZ board last night, that are not dissimilar to what we discussed this evening that's happening on Bronson. And it's actually going to be right in the middle of our HPOZ. So these are significant issues for our community. I'll just add, Laura, if you could scroll up to the top again to the first paragraph. CD10 has an enormous number of historic resource designations in the city. There are 10 HPOZs within CD10. 4 of those are within the UNNC boundary. You know, this accounts for 20% of the total HPOZ program in the city. So we're high density in terms of the importance of the cultural and historical aspects of the city that certainly demand to be preserved. I think we've done our best as a community to try to accomplish that goal, but these kinds of things that arise, like subjective standards, seek to just what we've spent so much time and effort to have. So that's the letter, and I ask that it be approved as written.
Right. Do we need a motion?
That was his motion. Did you, but
Well, we
we
wrote
can-
the letter, we should, vote ought to come from somebody who didn't write the letter.
I'll move to accept the letter as written and recommend to the governing board or the executive, whatever
Well,
board.
to
is
governing board, so
appropriate,
we can delegate it.
however is appropriate to send the letter on behalf of the UNNC.
I second.
Okay, yeah, I'm gonna stop, yeah, hang on, I'm gonna stop the share. I also wanted to point out, it's great that the city won this grant. And I had written to the Office of Historic Resources, copying Council District 10. And it turned out the city council hasn't been told about it. So the lack of transparency is really.
Well, I will just say that any money that comes in through grants, I know this from the trees and some of the different entities that get money from CAL FIRE and other things to do tree planting. Those, the LA Sand, the project we just did, that money has to be approved by the council and then accepted. I mean, LA Sand had to present it to the council, always to the budget and finance, then to the full council, and then it gets accepted into the coffers. So
they just won it, but it hasn't been finalized. They're moving forward on the assumption they get the money.
Okay,
By the council.
but we can find that out.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just that it's moving so fast because it has to.
Right. Who gave them the grant?
SCAG, Southern California Association of Governments. Also, I called SCAG, the person, and asked for a copy and haven't gotten a call back. So
But
this
did we
is,
look what the grant requirements were? I mean, we can find the grant requirements.
well, I look, they haven't posted this one. I mean, this is round 2.
Yes, we
They
can
haven't
look,
posted it.
but
It
that's
was
different
in-
than getting the actual grant.
Right.
What they wrote.
But by looking at that, you can determine what the requirements were and how they have to use them.
Yes, they haven't posted. This is round 2.0, and they have not actually on their website. It's not transparent at SCAG. It's certainly not transparent here. It's moving fast. I don't mind that it's moving fast. But anyway, that's not pertinent to the motion. I was just making a side remark, sorry, and wasting our time. There is a motion on the table.
It has been seconded.
And has been seconded to submit the letter as presented to the governing board tomorrow night. Steve.
I'm voting.
All in favor? Raise your digital hands if you're in favor. If you don't want to vote, you don't have to.
Laura, am I allowed to vote tonight or?
Yeah.
That doesn't make me ineligible tomorrow?
No, because, okay, if you look, for those who are board members, if you look closely at our agenda for tomorrow, we're trying to make this a consent item so we can move on to our holiday party. I'm gonna count the votes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And I see 10, 11, 12. 12 yes. Anybody opposed? Hands down, please. Need some hands down. Okay, is there any opposition? Are there any abstentions?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sonia, are you abstaining?
Yeah, 2. Okay, and now I'm gonna share Caesar's letter. I'm gonna find Caesar's letter and he's gonna tell us what this one's about.
Yeah, hello everyone. Thank you for being here.
Well, thank you for being patient through all of this.
No problem. I'd love to learn more about all this. Yeah, so I got a letter in the mail from where is it? I'm also struggling here.
AQMD.
AQMD. And asserting that they're trying to give a permit to the auto shop right across from the West Angeles church. This called Los Duros. And they're gonna be they're asking for a booth to spray paint cars. So that's just it's a public health concern, and we're writing this letter in opposition to that permit to CD10 so they can oppose it, because I don't think we have like any say on this type of permitting, or that's I think from my understanding. So the thing is, we wrote 4 opposition things. The first one we wrote is a conflict with transit-oriented development. That specific parcel is already designated to be, according to Laura, an 81 unit mixed use residential project. So it's kind of confusing on why they have all these cars. Like, it was vacant for a while, but then they brought all these cars and then they want to spray paint them now. So that's unacceptable in my view. The proposed they're proposing a spray paint booth, which is gonna release volatile organic compounds. And this is within 1,000 feet from the Isana Academy, which is K through 8th grade school. It has a very high pedestrian traffic. A lot of people walk through that there to go to the K line or E lines. And it has, it's a conflict with the goals of the Crenshaw specific plan and the Crenshaw Mid-City redevelopment plan, especially since it's a paint spray booth and it's not supported to be like, we're trying to move away from that activity. Also, this particular what do you call it? This particular lot. Yes,
The business.
Yes, this business already is like not has not a very good existing track record since they have an active city code enforcement case for unpermitted construction at their site. So we're asking City 10 to formally oppose the safety permit, submit an official letter to AQMD opposing the permit. And there's a deadline, it's December 14th. And we also demand a public hearing on this matter so people can be aware.
Thank you. And the reason I hear Michael's hands up, the reason we're asking CD10 to take the action is because AQMD is not a city agency, and the city attorney has opined that neighborhood councils are only supposed to be giving advice to the city. So I know.
Yeah, but I would
But we're
disagree
gonna
with
copy,
that.
but we're
I
gonna
would
copy
disagree
the
with
guy
that.
at AQMD anyway. So, Michael,
Yeah, real quick, can you hear me?
yes.
Yeah, it's been my experience over the years. I've defended and installed a number of existing spray booths and made them right with the city after the VEIP program that came out, Vehicle Establishment Inspection Program, back, well, maybe 20 years ago. And in a lot of cases, a CUP was required, which is the building and safety and a planning issue. The simple application to AQMD, I think I heard someone say, is not necessarily the path to acceptance. Now, on the other side, a spray booth that is properly installed can provide the necessary mitigated ventilation to not be an environmental hazard to the community. So there's a couple of ways to look at this. I'm not sure how far along the application is with building and safety. Do you know?
Well, this is what I know, Laura speaking. The code enforcement case is about the building they built without any permits into which they now want to do the spray booth. We have an unpermitted building, apparently. And then the other code enforcement is what you just talked about. The city has a vehicle, I don't know exactly what it is, but they have a vehicle establishment inspection program.
Right.
And there's 7 orders to comply under that program over the years, including one that's still open on this parcel. So we had feels like long ago and far away, it was a couple of years back, Dana Sales had brought to us this big project for this site. And part of the thing about the approved TOC project or TOD project, whatever, was to put this business out of business. That was part of the discussion. So I don't know what's going on with that, but this business isn't yet out of business. And they're obviously trying to move forward, but it would seem to me that you'd want to start by getting permits for the building you built without permits before you apply for the spray booth permit.
Yeah.
Just my opinion. So anyway, I think Susan did a good job.
Do
on
we
the
need a
letter.
motion?
Yeah.
I would move to accept the letter as written, and move it forward to the governing board.
I second.
And it's moved and seconded to accept the letter as presented. Michael, you have your hand up.
No, raising my hand on the vote.
Okay,
Okay.
all in favor, please raise your hands. 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Now that. And plus a truck. And I'm sorry, can you put your hands down so I can now count for any opposition? Okay, I don't know, Guy, did you just raise your hand in opposition to the letter? No. Any opposition to this letter? Any abstentions? 1 abstention, okay. Moving on to old business, ENS, we got 7 minutes. Old business, the liquor store.
We could talk about the liquor store actually, next time, because I don't think it's as urgent. We have a hearing upcoming on the,
Hidden History
on the
Museum.
Hidden History Museum, CUB application on the 11th, where there has been a request for the sale of beer and wine and live entertainment daily from 10 a.m. to 2 a.m. A number of you attended presentations previously, and the Neighbors Council will be writing a letter to support this application as presented at previous meetings. There has been, I think, some testimony from myself and from other members of the public pointing out discrepancies between the way that the site is being currently run and how it was presented to the board. And I wanted to make a special personal request to those of you who attended those meetings. If you have availability, I think Teresa, you might have some knowledge of Michael, Donna, if any of you can attend that, the zoning administrator meeting on the 10th, it would be very, very helpful to us in the community, for the zoning administrator to hear from you what was said at those meetings versus what you heard from the community about how the site is actually being run.
Because what was said is that it's essentially an art gallery and museum focused on Black hidden history, and that they would not be doing any events or alcohol during the day. It would be seldom. The owner wanted to just figure out a way to have some additional funds to help support his effort. But this was about almost 2 years ago at this point. So it's turning out that it's never really open to the public. It's already being used for an event space, maybe not every night, but the application would allow it to have a really intense use without it having doors open to the public and activating the Jefferson. Okay, Michael.
Yeah, can you make that information public? I'm outside of the mailing zone to be aware of that time and place. And how to access that meeting.
Michael, is it okay if I get your email address from Laura and I can send you the hearing notice?
Yeah, but it's also on the agenda.
Oh, okay.
I'm also happy to forward you the hearing notice.
Okay, thank you.
But you can just click, I think, on the agenda itself. Yeah.
Email.
But email Michael. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Another small point on this.
Hearing on Zoom.
It's a Zoom hearing.
Yeah, because they're a bunch of shysters. I'd love to go to the hearing. Michael, you need to be there too.
Okay, so just so we're all clear, UNNC will be basically support
what was presented.
Support it contingent on it being actually what was presented. If the zoning administrator approves only what was presented, then there'll be the occasional event and the doors will be open to the public and we can all see some great artwork. in
Never
historical.
gonna happen, Laura. They put,
Are you telling me I'm wearing rose-colored glasses?
yes,
So the other thing that I wanted to point out is something I discovered today,
and
which
you
is
have
that
eyes to somebody
Okay.
it does not necessarily approve, the application presents, that the existing use is an art gallery, but it does not actually appear that they have received a certificate of occupancy for an art gallery use. So, I think there's some complications with this application that everyone should be aware of as well.
Okay, so, it's 8:57. Is there any other old business? Okay, we really have to shut this down.
Yeah, we can defer.
Okay, so